Let's talk about roguelite and roguelike shooters. There are a lot of them, so I have compiled a list of the best in the category. I might have missed some, so please let me know in the comments section. In no particular order, let's get into the list. Nightmare Reaper is a boomer shooter with roguelite elements. As a boomer shooter, it embraces retro aesthetics and gameplay from the old school era. Even though the graphics may be off-putting for some, the amount of content provided in this game is amazing, along with the sheer number of randomized elements as a roguelite. There are a lot of guns with different effects, fast movements, and upgrades via minigames that are also surprisingly polished, even though you can skip them, and chaotic overall gameplay. The plot may not be that interesting, but you play this game for the gameplay. Overall, give the game a try, especially if you're a boomer shooter fan. Deadlink is an FPS with roguelite elements set in a cyberpunk theme where you play as an elite agent or their greatest weapon. With its variety of builds you can try and the number of weapons, the game's strength lies in its fast-paced gameplay that is reminiscent of Doom Eternal and even Hades in some ways. The game isn't without its criticisms. For a roguelite and the asking price, the game may need more variety in enemies, zones, and abilities. But for me personally, it's quite enough. As you can see, the gameplay loop and mechanics are satisfying, and you can build your playstyle however you wish. If the previous game we talked about is a fast-paced shooter, Void Bastards brands itself as a strategy roguelike shooter. The game isn't just your typical point and shoot. Instead, there are more tactical elements. In short, the gameplay loop involves collecting and crafting parts from ships to progress. Before boarding a ship, you'll know the enemy types, so you can prepare your loadouts. The shooting favors a more tactical approach rather than all-out gun blazing. It's one of the unique shooters in the genre, along with its beautiful cel-shaded art-style graphics. Relic Hunter Zero Remix is one of the best free shooter games. Despite being free, it offers a ton of content and is incredibly fun. The gunplay feels great, and the impact from the graphical effects and sound makes it visceral and satisfying. As the title suggests, you will hunt and unlock relics that grant you various gameplay modifiers. The buffs from relics range from extra health to unlimited bullets. Besides the relics, there are many guns to choose from in this game. The replayability is also excellent, as you just need to play the game to unlock different things. With its polished pixel art graphics and simple fun gameplay, you can enjoy the game anytime. Brotato is an arena shooter with very simple gameplay and overall aspects, but it is executed in a way that provides a satisfying gameplay loop and practically endless replayability. You can try a sheer number of various builds in this game, along with unique characters that increase the depth of gameplay even more. There are many characters to choose from, and unlike a simple arena shooter, it balances the challenge with how you creatively make your builds work. It's one of those inexpensive games that can captivate you for endless hours. It's always these kinds of games with a weird presentation at first glance that actually turn out to be great. Crab Champions is a roguelike looter shooter where you play as a crab, shooting down unfortunate arthropods and flying skulls. The run will last you from 20 minutes up to 40 minutes, or if you choose endless mode. Don't let the aesthetics fool you. The game is very polished in a lot of aspects. The movement is fluid and the weapons are quite diverse, making each run feel inconsistent in a good way. Is it worth buying? Yes, no questions asked. Also, ask your friends to play along with you. Immortal Redneck is an FPS set in Egypt with roguelite elements. The game blends old-school first-person shooter action with roguelite mechanics, such as dungeons, classes, skills, and gameplay progression. It may still follow the typical formula, but it did so in a well-executed manner. Combat is explosive and addictive, with gunplay feeling smooth. It's incredibly satisfying to hit mummies with a shotgun. The roguelite mechanics also make the game highly replayable with its scrolls and skill trees progression system. This is a remake of one of the legendary indie games in the roguelike category, The Binding of Isaac. Why did I put the game at number 13? As I told you, the number doesn't matter, as for some, this game may be number 1. What makes this game a legend and a must-play? Apart from its creepy art style, atmosphere, and solid game mechanics, the game's concept consists of random dungeons and items, a hard difficulty with permanent death. While it looks similar to other games, the game combines these elements excellently, providing hundreds of hours of replayability. It may be hard to explain in such a short segment, so play it. It's good. Bullet per Minute is an FPS game that blends shooter and rhythm mechanics. You time your shots based on the music beats and the on-screen metronome. The game is simple and short. Just load it up and kill enemies. While it lacks other roguelite aspects, its uniqueness lies in its rhythmic gameplay. There are only a handful of items in the game, and the environments feel similar on each run. You may become strong or weak on a run based on the RNG. Despite its shortcomings, this is one solid musical shooter that will keep you coming back for more. I don't know why the game is still in early access after a while, but nonetheless, Nova Drift is an amazing space shooter roguelite. It's a fun shooter game without too many bullet hell elements and offers various builds you can try with a lot of upgrades. You can experiment and theory craft any build in this game and have a lot of fun in the process. While each run can differ, you can still develop your own playstyle with the impressive number of mods for your ships. Definitely check the game out if you're a fan of arcade shooters. OTXO is a top-down roguelite shooter with a massive variety of guns, brutal and bloody combat, and added slow-motion elements for increased variety in gameplay. Some even hail it as the third installment that Hotline Miami should have been. The core gameplay is simple, as it should be. You kill enemies in the stage. It's fast-paced, but it can become even faster as you acquire upgrades. The focus on slow-motion mechanics adds satisfaction to the gameplay as well. If you're looking for a casual yet challenging and satisfying shooter, this game is one of the best. Deep Rock Galactic is one of the best co-op games, especially in the shooter genre. The game primarily centers around missions that take place in fully destructible, procedurally generated cave systems with varying terrain, objectives, and other aspects. You can play with up to 3 other people, and each player will have a different class with unique tools and weapons to complete the mission. It's not solely combat focused, as there are mining aspects as well. But when it does involve combat, it feels intense and satisfying with swarms of bugs or aliens. If you plan to play some co-op games with friends, this is arguably the best on the list. Synthetik Legion Rising is a top-down, class-based, roguelike shooter. Despite the sequel, Synthetik 2, having been out for a while, many people still favor Legion Rising. Its roguelike elements include random crates that offer items, weapons, ammo, health, upgrades, or dungeon currency. The game gives you the option to approach levels stealthily or with guns blazing. There are 4 different classes to try out, each with its own unique build style. The reloading mechanic is particularly unique, requiring players to manually eject magazines before reloading. As a top-down shooter, Synthetik Legion Rising offers one of the most satisfying presentations. Gunfire Reborn is a roguelite shooter that offers procedurally generated levels and weapons. You can choose from the initial 4 heroes, each with its own playstyle, and several new ones have been added to the game as DLCs. Each run will be different from the others, as the builds, scrolls, and weapons you obtain vary greatly. You may get overpowered builds or underpowered ones. Even though the gunplay isn't as fluid as other FPS titles, the overall gameplay loop is fun and addicting, either solo or with friends. However, sometimes the difficulty curve across stages isn't that balanced, as it felt like the Great Barrier in the early to mid stages. Now we have a VR title on the list. Compound, a roguelite shooter that embraces retro aesthetics while maintaining modern gameplay standards. The game is challenging and demands players to improve their skills. Each playthrough presents a completely different layout, with varied enemy and weapon spawns. The projectile gameplay is top-notch. Every bullet can be dodged, and every attack can be anticipated and defended against. Shooting and reloading, typical aspects of VR games, are executed fluidly and provide satisfying feedback. Although the game is relatively short, its replayability ensures continued enjoyment. Roboquest is a fast-paced, challenging, and high-adrenaline looter shooter. It shares similar aesthetics to Borderlands, but is quicker and easier to get into. The game is quite challenging. Even an experienced FPS player will have difficulty at the beginning. The game demands you to play quickly and aggressively, similar to the Doom and Quake series. Each robot or class you pick will have its own perks and unique gameplay styles, enhancing replayability. Especially due to the challenging normal difficulty, you might want to unlock stuffs first. Overall, it's a solid game with badass music that fits the game perfectly. Voidigo stands out as one of the most enjoyable action roguelite games recently released. In simple terms, the gunfighting is both amazing and deeply satisfying. With a diverse array of weapons and power-ups, each run feels fresh and exciting. Coupled with its vibrant graphics and fluid animations, Voidigo elevates pixel art to the next level. In each run, players can consistently craft powerful builds through trading out several currency or even health. Additionally, each playable character offers a unique gameplay experience, adding depth and replay value to this already solid roguelite. Nuclear Throne is one of the OGs or legends of the roguelike genre, inspiring many more modern roguelikes for good reasons. The game's strongest aspect is its gameplay, fast-paced, intensely challenging, and incredibly difficult, as death can occur within seconds amidst chaos. The gameplay loop is simple: avoid bullet and dish your own. With 12 different characters each possessing unique and special traits, Nuclear Throne offers diverse experiences. However, due to its high difficulty, it may take some time to get used to. Overall, it's one of the best roguelikes, especially for those who love a challenge. Now we also have another top-down roguelite shooter, Enter the Gungeon. We've discussed Binding of Isaac and Nuclear Throne, but I feel this game falls somewhere in between the two. The pacing leans a bit closer to Isaac, while the weapons and overall gameplay resemble NT. It's good news if you enjoy both games, as you'll likely love this one too. The game boasts a plethora of weapons with significant variations. The game strikes a challenging balance that's not excessively difficult, making for an enjoyable experience. The gunplay and combat are tight, pumping your adrenaline. I only hope that this game also offers online co-op, given how solid the gameplay is. Risk of Rain 2, a sequel to the original 2D side-scrolling game, ventures into the realm of third-person shooter roguelikes. It's one of the most addictive games you can play, often prompting you to say, just one more run, especially when playing with friends. There are numerous classes to choose from, each offering its own unique gameplay style. The gameplay loop revolves around completing stages at your own pace, earning upgrades from currency and paid chests scattered across stages. However, as you spend more time, the game becomes increasingly challenging. With chaotic moments depending on your loot, Risk of Rain 2 can escalate quickly.